Welcome to Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy. Let's talk about the post-credits scene of the WandaVision series finale. I'm talking about the actual post-credits scene. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I'll wait. We fade into a beautiful landscape of mountains and a wide lake. At first, I thought this could be Alaska, where characters normally go to get away from their problems. But then I started thinking that it would make more sense for Wanda to travel to Sokovia. The last thing she says before leaving Westview is,
I don't understand this power, but I will.
Now, stupid me, I thought this was setting up her appearance in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. It would make sense for Wanda to leave Westview and go seek out the Sorcerer Supreme. But then I remembered Wanda wouldn't really know who he is or who all those wizards were at the last battle. Even Tony Stark didn't know who Strange was.
I'm sorry, you giving out tickets or something?
And in Infinity War, she was fighting on a different planet from Strange, so she would have no knowledge of him or what a Sorcerer Supreme even is. So, to find herself, Wanda could return to Sokovia. So here's one for you. Maybe this lake is the actual crater where the capital city used to be, before Ultron used it as a weapon of mass destruction. In the trailer for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we see Zemo, a fellow Sokovian, at a memorial for his people. Now we know this because the Sokovian flag is on the monument. Notice this memorial is beside a giant lake, much like where Wanda is now hiding out. So, Wanda is chilling on her porch with what I assume is an empty cup since her kettle is just now boiling. Wanda is wearing gray sweatpants, gray being the color of ash, a typical way to represent depression and mourning, while sweatpants typically represent going down to Walmart and not giving a f*** what anybody has to think about you.
Walmart. I can go to the bathroom.
The kettle is boiling, which seems like a minor detail, but in movies this is often used as an ominous sign, a clue that time has run out. The high-pitched squeal is designed to sound annoying to human ears, so we'll get off our butts and get the darn kettle off the boil. Similarly, Wanda seems like she's at peace, but inside she's got something itching at her soul, the Scarlet Witch. The camera moves past her, down the hallway, as a different high-pitched squeal begins. This time it's an ephemeral sound, more like the score of a horror movie, leading us up to a moment of high tension. Then we see the big reveal, the main setup for Doctor Strange 2. Wanda Maximoff in full Scarlet Witch garb, reading the Darkhold while her other self is making a cup of tea. So, how is this possible and what the heck is even going on here? I'm going to explain it. Oh, wait. Sorry, I just got to re-log into Disney+. You know, I always used to use the same password, SnyderCutStan2021, but that made all of my apps really easy to hack, so I got NordPass, the sponsor of this week's video. NordPass keeps all of your passwords in one app that creates secure passwords just for you, because it's a pain in the neck to remember a dozen different passwords. So now NordPass has a special offer for you. Go to nordpass.com/screencrush and use the code ScreenCrush to get 50% off a 1-year premium plan. Now there are other password apps out there, but only NordPass includes NordVPN security, so you can trust them with your banking and credit card data. They make your digital life easy by allowing you to sign into services like Netflix on several different devices or even on different platforms, so you can transfer from your work PC to your iPad at home with no problem. So go to nordpass.com/screencrush and use the code ScreenCrush to get 50% off a 1-year premium plan, or click the link in the description below. Back to the ending. There are a few things that could be happening here. Remember in episode 8, we saw Wanda encountering the Mind Stone for the first time. She saw a vision of the stone bursting apart, and then the fiery visage of the Scarlet Witch appeared, much like we saw her in this episode. So what does this mean? So for years, the Scarlet Witch is Wanda's superhero identity in the comics, but recently it was revealed that she is just the latest in a long line of Scarlet Witches, and that she inherited her abilities from her mother. It doesn't seem like this is the case in the MCU. Instead, she encounters the Scarlet Witch as some sort of outside force who arrives to inhabit her or maybe bless her with powers. Now there are a few different theories about who this is. One is that this is a Wanda Maximoff from an alternate reality in the multiverse, who has crossed the barrier of the multiverse to unlock this power within Wanda. In the comics, Wanda is a Nexus being, meaning that she is a constant in all realities, unchanged in each dimension. So if Wanda is the same in every dimension, this is essentially her reaching out to herself. Another theory is that this is Wanda from the future, reaching back in time to give herself powers, like the closed time loop in Interstellar. But my theory is that the Scarlet Witch is an ancient force, like the Phoenix Force. So in the comics, the Phoenix Force, which you kind of saw in Dark Phoenix, is a giant flaming bird that goes through space and inhabits the body of Jean Grey. Its purpose is to eventually destroy so something new can rise from the ashes. And it seems like the Scarlet Witch is similar to this in the MCU. This force inhabits a human form to fulfill its destructive purpose. Remember, Agatha even says,
"It's your destiny to destroy the world."
So what we see here is two Wandas, which, hey, I theorized would happen several weeks ago. The question is, which Wanda is real? Is she floating in the bedroom while projecting another version of herself making tea? Or is she making tea while her Scarlet Witch form studies? Well, the answer is actually both. Remember, in Doctor Strange, he allows his body to sleep while his astral form stays awake to get some book learning. So this is what we're seeing here. An aspect of Wanda is on the porch, having tea. This aspect is still trying to cope with her emotional pain. She's working on herself. But then this other aspect, the spirit of her, is studying in the back room. The question is this Wanda's astral form? Or is this the spirit of the Scarlet Witch? Is the Scarlet Witch so powerful that it's an entity separate from Wanda, kind of like a split personality? Personally, I don't think it's that extreme. I believe Wanda has simply learned a variation of Doctor Strange's astral projection. She's able to have a cup of tea while her spirit studies in the next room. But this already implies she's more powerful than Strange, who had to rest his body while studying in his astral form. Now, let's talk about the book that Wanda is reading. This is very bad news. This book is the Darkhold, which in the past I've theorized is the missing book from the forbidden section of the Carmitage Library. This is the most evil book in the Marvel Universe. It's like the Necronomicon, Mein Kampf, and Old Yeller rolled into one. Nothing against Old Yeller, it's just really sad. It made me cry in middle school in front of everybody. I don't want to talk about it. In the comics, the book was created by an elder god named Chthon. Now, eons before humans walked the earth, Chthon was the embodiment of chaos and evil. Then he was banished to another dimension by this woman,
Gaia, the spirit of the earth.
But before leaving, Chthon poured all of his madness and all of his hatred into this book. Now, if that sounds like the One Ring in Lord of the Rings,
And into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life.
it's because it basically is. The Darkhold is the One Rings in Marvel. It is absolute power and it corrupts absolutely.
And you don't want no part of this shit.
Remember, Agatha's fellow witches accused her of delving too deep.
You practice the darkest of magic.
Basically, Agatha was hungry for power and began studying the Darkhold. This taught her forbidden magic, like how to drain other witches' powers like a psychic vampire. And now Wanda, the most powerful being on Earth, is reading this thing. In the comics, Wanda was actually born near the gateway where Chthon was trapped. This allowed him, later in life, to possess her body. Now she's opening herself to similar control here in the MCU. It even looks like that as she's studying, she's absorbing the energy from the Darkhold. And then she hears Billy's voice. A lot like Carol Ann in Poltergeist.
I remember.
So what does this mean? Well, an obvious possibility is that Wanda is once again imagining her children into existence. This is a sign that she's losing control, and soon she'll recreate the kind of hex that will engulf the entire world. I don't think that's what's happening here. So stay with me. In the comics, Vision and Wanda were married, but they couldn't have kids, because she a human, he a robot. When Agatha's grandkids burned her at the stake, long story, Agatha's energy passed through Wanda, and then she used it to make herself pregnant with her twin boys. It was later revealed that the kids stopped existing when Wanda stopped thinking of them, and that they were actually shards of Mephisto's soul, like Horcruxes, but in the comics. So, Wanda's kids didn't exist, it drove her insane, a lot of bad stuff happened, etc. But years later, her twins were reincarnated as two teenage boys, Billy Kaplan and Thomas Shepard. And just like in WandaVision, they have the powers of Wanda and Pietro. Now, we did a whole video about these characters and how the MCU is setting up the Young Avengers. Check that out for more detail. But basically, I think that the twins will return as teenagers to be part of a new superhero team. So maybe when Wanda became pregnant, she actually imbued the babies with an existing life force, or souls, if you will. Or maybe her magic is so powerful that she can actually bring life force into existence. When she collapsed the hex, she destroyed the bodies these spirits were living in, but not the spirits themselves. Those spirits are now trapped somewhere in the Multiverse of Madness. After all, Wanda says,
We could never truly leave each other even if we tried.
and even the poster between their beds seems to foreshadow some kind of mystical journey into the heavens. And this line,
Thanks for choosing me to be your mom.
is pretty weird, unless these really are wandering souls who inhabited the bodies that Wanda has created. After all, unlike everyone else in Westview, Wanda has no control over the boys, even when they were babies.
Kids. Can't control them.
The scene ends when Wanda swipes left like she's closing the Darkhold and she's ready to find her kids. So this is why she'll seek the help of Dr. Stephen Strange.
just want my kids back.
They'll have some adventures, then Strange will see that she's using the Darkhold, and he'll smack it out of her hands like it's Jesse's diet pills. So did you like the ending of WandaVision? Let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.